Welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about data binding in Angular. The Angular data binding enables us to communicate between the view template and the component class and vice versa. Okay, we have two types of data binding. One-way data binding. In that, we have component to view template. For this, we have string interpolation. The string interpolation can be achieved by using this expression format, and then we have property binding. That can be achieved by property equal to data. Okay, then here we are passing the data from the component to view template. Okay, then we have another one-way data binding, that is view template to component. That can be achieved by event binding, that have the format in the curve bracket. We have to use that. Then we have to specify the expression in the quotation. Here also we have to specify in the quotation. Then we have two-way data binding, that is component to view template and also view template to the component. So here the data can be exchanged between these two elements, that is component to view template and also view template to component. That can be achieved by ngModel property. We are going to see string interpolation, property binding and event binding and the ngModel in great details now. Now I am going to VS Code. In the view component, I am going to have some details like student name. Here I am going to specify the name, and then I am going to add the marks. Here I am going to give marks. Save it. In the student component.ts file, I am going to add the name equal to, as it is a TypeScript file, we have to specify the type of the name, that is string, then equal to Arjun. Then I am going to add the mark as number type. I am going to give 78. Now save the changes. Go to the browser. Here we have some error, right? In the string interpolation, I have mentioned the data as marks, but inside the class component, I have given as a mark. So change it, save it, and go to the browser. I am getting student name as Arjun, mark as 78. I am going to make it little bigger. For that, I am going to add h3 element. Okay, now go to the browser. Now we are getting student name as Arjun, marks 78, right? This is called as string interpolation. Now I am going to call the function here inside the TS file. I am going to create a function that is result. The function name is result. With the function keyword we can create a function, or else we can directly give the name. Then inside that I am going to give res. I am going to create a variable here, result equal to, now it is empty. Here I am going to specify this dot result equal to, and also I am going to check the marks. If marks, if I click enter, automatically it will give this dot marks. Marks greater than 50, it should add pass. Okay, within the double quote. Here I am going to give it as fail. Now save the changes and go to here. I am going to use that. Here I am going to give result. I am going to call the function that is result. Okay, now save the changes, go to the browser. Now in the student.ts file I have to return pass, else I am going to return fail. Instead of assigning to the result, I am going to return that data. Okay, I am going to remove this. Now go to the browser. Here the result is pass. Now I am going to change the marks here, like 48. Save the changes, go to the browser. The result is fail. Okay, this is how we can use the string interpolation to communicate component to view template. That is, this is our component and this is our view. Okay, likewise we can exchange the data. Then we have property binding. So for this I am going to add image tag. Here I am going to add image tag. Here I am going to specify the source. Okay, here I am going to give, here we have one image. This image should be pasted in the ngClient source folder. In the assets folder I am going to create a folder images. Inside that I am going to paste this student.png. Okay, now go to our VS Code. Here I am going to assign yes image, it is student image colon, it is a string type, equal to, I am going to give assets. In the assets folder, see here, in the assets folder we have images, in that we have student.png. So we have to specify that path. Assets folder I am going to give images slash student.png. Okay, save the changes. We have to assign this variable name to this template. Okay, we have to use property binding. The property binding should be inside the square bracket, right? Now I am going to change that. Inside the square bracket I am going to give S image. Now save the changes, go to the browser. Now I am getting the student image, right? Here instead of specifying string interpolation, I am giving it as a property binding. So let's try to give as string interpolation whether it is working or not. Here I am going to specify this inside the two set of curly brackets. Now save the changes, go to the browser. Yes, now working fine. Okay. In some cases, this property binding will not work for disabled, hidden and checked. For these properties, this string interpolation will not work. Let's try this. Here I am going to give a button. In this button, I am going to give disabled. Here I am going to give select. If the student is pass, then we can enable this button, or else it should be disabled. Okay. Now let's go to the browser. We have the button, but it is disabled. Now in the VS Code, if I give this as string interpolation, here I am going to give true. So now disabled equal to false. False. Now save the changes. I am going to the browser. See here, still the button is disabled. Okay. If you are using the string interpolation, the button is disabled. And also remove this, and I am putting it in the double quote. Now save the changes, go to the browser. Okay, it's not working. In this case, we have to use the square bracket. Here we have to use false. Now see in the browser. Now the button is enabled. Okay. For the disabled, hidden and checked, this string interpolation will not work. So we have to use the property binding. Okay. For the string interpolation, we have to use the property name equal to, within the two set of curly bracket, we have to specify the data, and for the property binding, we have to use the square bracket. Inside that, we have to specify the property name, then equal to, we have to give the data inside the quotes, single quote or double quote. We can specify in the single quote or double quote. Here I am going to create disable as a boolean type, disable as a boolean type equal to false. Now I am going to specify this in the view template inside the single quote this. Save the changes, go to the browser. Now we are getting the button and also it is enabled. Okay. Now based on the marks, it should be changed, right? For this we have to write a code here. In the result function, I am going to assign that result. Okay. Before return statement, we have to assign this. If I select this automatically it will be called with this dot this equal to false. Okay. In case of less than 50, we have to give true. Now save the changes, go to the browser. It is disabled, right? Let's check. Yes, because our student mark is 48. Change the mark as 78. Now save the changes, go to the browser. Now the button is enabled, right? Likewise, we can do the property binding. Now we will see the another one-way data binding, that is view template to component class, that is event binding. In the view template, I am going to add a field input. Okay, here for the event binding we have to use this curve bracket, so that I am going to use input equal to, for the event binding we will wrap this input in the curve bracket. Inside that I am going to call a function on change event, and then I am going to pass the $event. This $event variable will have the input event object. This event variable will have access to the input event, and also it have the input event occurred on the particular target event. That target object can be accessed by using this $event. Okay, let's save the changes and go to the component class. Here I am going to define this function, that is on change. Okay, I am going to change it as uppercase C. Save the changes and copy this. Then go to the TS file. Here I am going to specify the on change event, that is on change function. Here I am going to give event. Here it's showing some error. We can specify the type any. Okay, here I am going to create another variable, that is event name as a string. Okay, here I am going to have some text. Okay, within the double quote. Save the changes. Here I am going to set this event name equal to event dot target dot value. Okay, event dot target dot value. Okay, save the changes, go to the browser. Now we are having the input box. Now I want to display this name, event name, right? For that I am going to give a break. Okay, and then I am going to display the event name. Save the changes and go to the browser. Here I am getting some text. Here I am going to try to enter. See here I am getting, whenever I am entering the data here, automatically the on change event is occurred. So that function is called, then the value is assigned to that event name. That event name is displayed here also. Now try to understand this. I am going to log this event. Now save the changes and go to the browser. Here I am going to type. Now go to inspect. In the console we have an event is input event is occurred. We have typed 5 characters, so that 5 times the input event is occurred. Okay, now I will expand this. Now the target is input. We have bunch of details. Here we have the target as input. The target is input type. Okay, here if I expand this, I am having the value, this, that is Divya, right? Here I am having the value Divya, so which is typed here. Okay, now let's see about two-way data binding. The two-way data binding is the communication between the component to the view template and vice versa. we can achieve this two-way data binding using ngModel, and also we can achieve this by combining the property and event binding. Okay, by combining the property and event binding we can achieve this, but by using the ngModel we can achieve this two-way data binding very easily. So let's see how to do with the combination of property and event binding, and then we will see using the ngModel also. Here instead of the event binding I am going to use the another input field. Here I am going to use a value property. Here I am going to specify the value as event name. Right? Here we have to put equal to and close it and save the changes. Now go to the browser. Here we have the value as some text here because we have defined here as some text. Okay. Now I am going to typing in the input box. Smith, see here we have got that value which is entered here. Okay. Likewise we can do the two-way binding with the help of property and event binding. Now let's see how to do by using the ngModel. Now I am going to the student component.html. Here I am going to use the ngModel. For combining the property binding and event binding, here I am going to use square bracket and then I have to use curly bracket. Here I am going to specify the ngModel. Okay. Here I am going to specify event name. Save the changes. Go to the browser. Here we have error, right? Cannot bind to ngModel since it is not a known property, because we have to import this ngModel. Okay. In the appmodule.ts we have to import that. Import forms module, okay, from the Angular/forms. Okay, then we have to add this inside the imports property forms module. Now save the changes. Now go to the browser. Now we are getting the text here, right? Because we have given event name for this ngModel property also. Okay, go to the browser. Now I am going to type something. See here I have typed the John here, and also I am getting same value in the next text box also. Okay, because of this ngModel property. Okay, by using this ngModel we can simply achieve the two-way data binding. In this lecture we have seen what is data binding, then types of data binding, one-way and two-way data binding. In that we have string interpolation and property binding, event binding. These three are belongs to one-way data binding, and for two-way data binding we can combine the property and event binding to achieve the two-way data binding, and also we can use the simple method to achieve the two-way data binding, that is ngModel. For using ngModel we have to import the forms module inside the appmodule.ts file, right? In the next video we will see about Angular directives. So data binding and the Angular directives are more important to do a project, so that I am going to cover those things. Then we will go for our actual project. Thank you everyone. Happy coding.